Coming up on today's episode. Good day, YouTube. Here with you on the bench again, at the bench. I'll learn one of these days how to say that. As you can see, the item in front of you is I'll just call it a clock radio for lack of a better term. It actually has a little bit more to it than just a clock radio, but hey, for purposes of identification, that's what this is. This is a fancy one. This is GE. It features two alarms. Back in the day, as they say, it was a nice alarm clock. It does have AM, FM stereo on it, and it also has a tape player. We can raise the lid there, as you can see. So it was a good little unit back in the day. Twin speakers, obviously, for stereo. Full function clock, that's the situation. The problem with this unit is, and I'm going to explain to you where I got it, which probably is a good idea because you don't know. I got it off eBay. I was bargain shopping one day, and I do that now and then. Just look and see what's available for make best offer, things like that. And I don't remember what I picked this up for, but it was pretty cheap, $5 and something maybe. I can't remember exactly. I'll try to find the listing for it and pop that up on the screen for you to see. But at the same time, I bought another similar unit. The other one was a realistic. I'll pop a picture of that up, and it also came in today. So I will be doing more on it as well, but for right now we're going to look at this one here because, like I said, I've already tested the unit. It does not play. I cannot, and I haven't looked at the manual for it yet, but and just looking at the where it says on here, I'm thinking that was on. Over here is the selector for AM FM stereo, and I've got the unit up about halfway. And nothing comes out the speakers. So let me turn it over here and see a little bit better here what I'm talking about. On this section here, we have sleep, brightness, off and on. Nothing I do over here. And usually on a clock radio, the radio can be turned on through the clock. And I think that's what this is for because there's no real other way of getting it on. As they say. So it does have the time set works okay on it. As you can see, that is the correct time. And looking at the clock on the computer monitor, it matches perfectly. So that clock does work. And again, I don't know, do not get any kind of audio out of this when I press on. And as much as I had to play around with these buttons here to get these to work, I'm thinking they need a good cleaning. And that's going to be my first order of business. Take the top off this, clean the controls, and see if we can't get this to make some noise. I don't remember what it said on the thing, on the description, and whether this worked or not, but I believe it didn't work. I think the clock worked, and I think it said that was about all it worked, I think. Can't really remember, though. So I'll try to find that and pop that up as well. But like I say, or I may look at it up here in the computer in just a minute and see what it comes up with. In fact, I think I'll do that right now. I'll be back in just a second. Hey, what does it say? For parts are not working, that's what it says. Okay, clock. Okay, vintage GE 7-4965A, alarm clock radio, AM FM cassette player recorder. Parts of repair, radio and cassette player do not work. Clock functions and comes on in crisp and bright, which it does, as we can see. Works great as vintage retro digital alarm clock, if not keen on trying to repair. Well, you know us. we're going to try to repair it. Now, from what I'm hearing there's a couple of possibilities here. Get the keyboard out of the way. One is the fact that maybe the audio section is not working. Just a thought. And the other possibility is this on button for the power of the radio is not working. Now, I could probably go through all the trouble of setting an alarm and seeing if the radio comes on that way, which I'm not going to do because I want to take it apart and clean the controls anyway, because obviously they need cleaning, because, again, the buttons I pressed to get the time set was very difficult to do. I had to keep playing with them to get them to set, and I just need to get everything cleaned up there. So I'm thinking that's the problem, and that's going to be my first assessment, first attempt at repair anyway. If that doesn't work, then we'll look further at the audio section and find out if the radio section works, and use the signal tracer, and we'll go from there. So join us for that, and in a little bit, like I say, I'm going to take the unit apart, get it unplugged, and oh, by the way, the tuner turns freely, and I'm happy about that. So again, one of the other things I wanted to specify, though, before I went any further, if you put this on FM stereo, and turn it on as the way it's supposed to be on, you would think the FM stereo light would come on once it came upon a stereo signal. But I have not. I've played around with this a little bit in the living room when I first opened it up, and I didn't see that work. So I'm going to have to again say probably the button is the problem. So if that is the case, well, that's the better for us, I guess. But we'll probably end up replacing the caps and things like this. I don't know what the age of this is, but as I said, this is a GE 7-4965A is the model. So if you're keen on trying to find some service for that, that'd be fine. So there you go. Let me take this apart and we'll get into it and see what we can find. Hi, well, we are back once more. As you can see clearly, I have this unit apart. Taken it apart a little bit. Here's the buttons I was talking about. These two here, this is on and off. This is on, this is off. I'm assuming these are the ones. Now, what I discovered when I came in here, I think this unit is one of those powered up at all times as far as the transformer goes. Well, obviously, when it's plugged in, it almost has to be, because it has, if the power or the clock is to remain clocking, as they say, or displaying, or whatever you want to call it, this has to be working. It's got two secondaries on it. I'm going to say the red, yellow over here is the low voltage radio, tape player, audio stuff over here. I'm guessing at all this. These blue wires, there are two blues and a white, and looks like these heavier black wires. Not really sure what all that is, but I'm assuming it's going to be the clock. Now I have traced it down to this section here. It looks to me like this center tap section here, which I assume this is the each end of the secondary, and that's the yellow one is the center tap. But there's two diodes there to rectify that, and then on the other section here with the blue and the white, there are four diodes there in what to me looks like a full wave bridge rectifier. So that would make sense. So what I'm thinking, obviously the clock works. So what I'm gonna do is measure the voltage on this, plug it in, and see if we actually have voltage here. If we don't, there's our problem. We have a bad secondary on the transformer, which that would not be a something unknown in a GE. They tend to, the way, like I said, they have these running, the transformer on all the time, they eventually burn out. And I think that's maybe what happened. If that is the case, then that would explain why our radio is not coming on when I hit the power button, because there's no voltage. So that would be our first step. Make sure there is voltage on both of these. Well, we know there is on the clock. So I'm pretty sure the clock section is the blue and white, and I think that's the way that works. So that's going to be my next chore. I'm going to mess with that tomorrow sometime. It's getting late now, and I don't really want to mess with the rest of the evening. So I think all I want to do is call it here and get back into it maybe tomorrow and see what I can find out, measuring that secondary, and we'll go from there. So, all right, we'll see you. I am back once again, YouTube, here at the bench once more. As you can see, I have a pile of gibberish laying on the bench. This started out as a alarm clock. You may recall in the previous clips, I discovered it didn't work. Well, it worked on the clock. The clock was the only thing that worked. And so I have since then done some studying and some looking at YouTube videos and things of that sort. Two of them on this particular, actually one of them on this particular chassis here that I'm working on, and the other one was on a similar radio, except there's no cassette. The rest of the radio was completely the same as this. And in both cases, I found that once you press that on button on the top of the radio there, it should come on. And I did check the switch itself, and it is good. It does make contact in both. It's a 2-pole single throw, I guess, or momentary contact, whatever you want to call those type of switches. But they're little micro switches, and they just basically, you press down on the on button and it makes temporary contact with two different two sets of contacts, or well, whatever. It it switches two wires. We'll just put it that way. And when it does that, it should turn the radio on. Well, it's not doing that. I also did some preliminary checking of the transformer itself, and that can be seen over here. And it appeared to be having voltage coming out of it, and it also, well, I take that back. It appeared to be having voltage coming out of one of the secondaries. I only checked one. There are two secondaries on it. One uses a full wave power or center tap type power supply, and the other was the full wave bridge. So I can only assume that it doesn't have a center tap, or if it does, it doesn't use the center tap. So again, like I said, that's where I left off at, and I did some logical thinking. This radio or cassette player or whatever you want to call it does not work. The cassette does not work, and that was one of the things I discovered while watching the videos on it, that this cassette player should work even though the radio is off. In other words, when you press the play down, there's two pink wires, I think you can see them right there, that should activate the audio section and allow this to play without the radio being on. Obviously, the clock requires the unit to be plugged in all the time if you want to see the clock. So there is power going to it at all times, so it doesn't really have to have that radio turned on with that button over there. So basically, like I said, you press play on the audio or on the tape recorder, and it will play a tape, even though the radio itself has not been switched on. So there's basically two ways of turning on the power for the audio. Not the radio, but the audio. I think the only thing the on-off does is the radio. I believe that's the only thing it turns on and off. But either way, it doesn't really matter because, you know, when you have two different ways of turning something on and neither one of them work, you have to kind of think logically that there's something missing in the power. And I think that's our case on this. I think once we get the power restored, I think everything will work just fine. And that is where I'm at with this. And I have no schematic for this. I did look online, hopefully trying to find one, but there is nothing that I can see out there without paying for something. I think you can buy them, but I know the SAMS itself was $22, I think, on a download type thing. And I really didn't want to do that. I did look it up, and I only paid $5.99 for this thing. So, and shipping, whatever shipping was, I think $14 and something. But anyway, like I said, we don't really need the schematic. We just need to know where the power comes from and why it's not getting to where it goes. And all that is, if we kind of shift our view around over here, go down in here a little bit. I'm going to use a pointer, and maybe we can point this out. I don't know how well you can see. There's some diodes right there, and there's another set here. There's basically, again, two sets of diodes. There's one set of two over here. That's for the full wave center tapped power supply. And there's 4 diodes over here for the full wave bridge power supply. And obviously one of these is working because the clock works. And it is a vacuum fluorescent display, and I don't know exactly how much. I haven't had time to read up on those yet, but that will be a telltale sign on which supply is which as far as circuitry goes, I think. Because now the voltage I measured on this low voltage, or this full wave bridge center tap was only a little over a volt. Around 3 point something, and this was AC now, 3 point something all across the secondary. So that means that the DC DC filtered supply voltage is going to be 5 volts maybe. We'll guess. Usually if the AC is at that level, then time you filter and rectify it, it comes up a little bit, and I'm going to guess again, like say 5 volts around in there. And I haven't been able to check the other supply with the full wave bridge. So I don't know what it's putting out, but at least that one is putting out some voltage, and that's, it kind of leads you to believe maybe that's the clock because it's working. Either that or these diodes are shorted, or one of them is shorted. And that's drawing down the supply voltage from the transformer. I didn't notice if the transformer was getting hot or not like that. I didn't really pay that much attention to it. I didn't have it on that long. I was just basically trying to find out if there was any voltage coming out of it. And I did also measure the secondary with the ohm meter, and it did check out as well. Now, I haven't checked any of the other secondary. For one thing, it's very difficult to get in here. There's a clip around these wires here. I don't know if you can see that right there. But I really don't. I'm trying not to cut these things because I don't like doing that, because I've had bad experiences in the past where I've cut these things and they just don't go back together. I mean, you can't get the wires back where they're supposed to be. And this has some ribbon cables as well. I think you can see this one here. Here. And there's one over there as well. And like I said, those are very, very tedious to get routed as well, because as wide as they are, they don't want to bend and shape like a regular wire would. So all those things combined to make it very difficult to get this apart and back together. So also I did find one extra screw, which was conveniently on the and I can't find it, but it was attached to the magnet of the speaker. Oh, there it is. And it doesn't appear to go anywhere. It obviously came from somewhere, but it was just, stuck to the magnet of the speaker, and I couldn't tell where it had come from. It doesn't match any of the other ones that I've taken out, except for maybe one of the ones in this board here. Let me show you this. They're about the same, so maybe that's where it came from, but I don't see any missing holes there. Now there is one large hole there, but I don't believe that's where that goes. See, that just fits down in there too easy. So that's not it. So I have to do a little more searching on that to find out where that came from or where it goes back to or something. So I can see over here on this side there's something, it appears to be something missing over there. Maybe that's where it came from. This may have been taken apart before. You know, who knows. But like I said, it is apart now. And we are going to attempt, this is going to be one of those projects where it may take a while. Like I said, I have no service information, and it's just a matter of finding our voltages right now. And once those are found, hopefully that will bring the radio back and the audio back. And if it does, then we'll be happy. If not, well, we'll keep looking, I guess. So, all right, that's going to do me for now. You guys, like I said, not sure what I'm going to do. I've got actually two BDS or a BDST and a BDSI to mail out today, and I've got to do that. Drop that off. I've got it ready to mail, and it just needs to be dropped at the post office. And Bob has some parts in, and I got some. Well, I get a part. New power supply that we're testing out for the 20 watt stereo and 20 watt mono. And if that works out, we may end up having a much easier time of putting together kits for that. So we'll see, I guess. So like I said, for right now, I'm going to get off here and take a break and have, I was going to say have lunch, but I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and drop off that at the post office. Get that out of the way. I've got to pick up some drugs today. It's time for that every month. So I'll get off here and hopefully we'll return. If not, we'll see you in the next video.